Here's my review of Shen Yun. So I've been wanting to make this review for quite some time, ever since I finally got to see Shen Yun approximately 6 weeks ago here in Toronto. The backstory of my review, and the reason I really want to leave this review, is because I first saw Shen Yun on Instagram or social media somewhere about 5 or 6 years ago. And the video that I saw, and the video that is currently there today that you can see on all their Instagram or all their social pages, looks very cool. You know, as someone that goes to a lot of music festivals and concerts, someone that's really into the visual production side of things, I was really enamored with what I saw, and I really wanted to go see Shen Yun. So I want people to know about Shen Yun. I want people to know that it was the lamest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. It was so lame. It was a complete joke. And I want to stress something here, okay? I want to stress something here. My review and what I saw at Shen Yun has zero to do with the supposed cult or whatever, or them trying to get you to join a cult. There's literally none of that in what I saw and what formed my opinion for Shen Yun. So, without further ado, let me tell you why Shen Yun is the lamest freaking thing I've ever seen, and why I think if you had $100 to burn, I would go watch it just to witness on how bad it is. All right, so I go with my girlfriend and my niece. We go, and the day comes. It's a Saturday afternoon show, and I'm really excited, and I get there. And by the way, I've never been to the COC building or the Opera House building, whatever, at Queen University. So I was inside for the very first time, and it was really cool to be inside of it. We go to our seats, and the first thing on the video screen says, cannot record this, otherwise, copyright, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, cool. So the show starts, and I'm really excited. So the curtains go up, and there's like smoke on the stage, and there's the dancers, right? In the yellow, and I'm like, okay, so far looking pretty cool. As soon as the smoke disappeared, the whole act is about an hour, so the smoke lasted for maybe 2 minutes. So for the remainder 58 minutes was just the lamest thing I've ever witnessed, and it was nothing like they show in the videos. The way they shoot their video is the definition of smoke and mirrors. They make it look so much cooler than it is. So it's first of all, it's not just dancing, okay? I thought it was only dancing, literally from the moment it starts to the moment it ends, but it's not. It's not just dancing. It's dancing, and then it's kind of like a play, but with no dialogue. There's no talking. It's just the guys like making movements, and just like the movements they make are like really corny and like pointing at things, and then the music is like really corny. And then the opening scene after the smoke dissipated, I can't remember the exact sequence, but it was like on the stage, a bunch of people, humans, made up like they were like this kind of chariot kind of thing. And like the chariot, so they're in this like old, tiny, ancient Asian garden kind of thing, which makes sense. Like that's fine. That's what I imagine this whole thing's supposed to be. And then the next scene is like that chariot goes like towards the screen, and it continues onto the screen digitally, and now the chariot is flying through space like Star Wars styles, like going like hyper mode or whatever the fuck, and it's going to like back in time to like show you the ancient China before whatever. And I just remember looking over to my niece and my girlfriend and being like, that was the first moment when we went, what the F is going on? Like a lot of times they would like run towards the screen and then fall down, and then the person would digitally continue, right? Like continue the story. And it sounds cool when I say it, but when you watch it, it's actually like really corny. Like I said, like most of it's not dancing, and even the dances were kind of corny. Like majority of the time, me and my niece, and like my girlfriend was trying to hold it together too, but me and my niece were literally laughing our heads off. I was like trying to be like the older figure. Obviously, I'm taking my niece, out to see a nice play or whatever. I was doing my best to like keep her quiet because like she was like in tears, and then she would stop laughing, and then I would start laughing, and then she would try to get me to stop laughing. and just wasn't working, and none of us could like hold our composure because it was so lame and so corny. Then there was this one scene. Most of the whole play or whatever was focusing on ancient China or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it had backdrops of gardens and just like, or castles and stuff like that. And then there was this one scene or one act or whatever. Like the curtains came down and there was actually like two people, like a guy and a girl would come to the side and they would explain what's gonna happen on the next scene. And they're explaining it and they're like, oh, the next scene is the worker bees or the workers are in a restaurant and they're not working as fast as they can. And then the manager is coming to check up on them to make sure that they're doing their job. And I look over at my girlfriend and I'm like, what the hell? What does this have to do with like ancient China? Like, everything else has to do with like, I don't know, like honor and like saving a loved one or being a hero or just those just like typical tropes of like that nature. The curtains go up and it doesn't even look like what a restaurant might look like, I don't know, thousands of years ago. I don't even know what it could possibly look like. It looked like they just took the most generic view of what a restaurant would be with like tables and chairs, but like it looks like it's from today's time, you know what I mean? Like not ancient times, today's time, right? And that was the backdrop. And then the guys are like dressed up as like servants, right? And they're like wiping the floor, and then the manager comes in and the music starts to get all and the manager's like pointing at them like you, but he's not saying anything. Remember, no dialogue, just pointing, right? And they're like scurrying to work faster, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? A, this is so lame. B, what does this have to do with ancient China? Like, what? It's so bad. So to close out the first act, there was just a girl on a piano, and then a guy who's doing opera. And the guy was so bad. Like, he didn't have a nice voice at all. I thought maybe I'm gonna go see this thing. I'm gonna see nice dancers, a nice opera or whatever. He just sounds very average. He's not like awful, but I can just tell that this is definitely not like well-trained opera singer. He's just an average, like maybe even below average opera singer. Like good enough to be like, okay, it's opera, but not good enough to be like, yo, I spent money, I'm in this nice opera house. He's like singing or whatever, and then he ends his song, he's like, oh, and he does this like at the end, like, nailed it. And it was like, just the way he did the motion, A, was so corny, and B, it's like, bro, you didn't nail anything. You were so bad. And like, I just remember at that moment, like, we just started laughing, me and my niece, and then like whatever, like the curtains came down, like, okay guys, it's intermission. So we booked it and we're like laughing in the hallways. I'm like walking towards the exit and they're like, where are we going? I'm like, what do you think? We're gonna hang out here and watch the second half? Are you joking? What? I'm like, no, we're getting the fuck out of here. So we literally laughed, and like as soon as I walked out the doors, I burst into tears laughing, rolling on the ground. My niece was laughing, my girlfriend was shaking her head, and we were all just completely befuddled as to how that Shen Yun was advertised as like this like amazing, cool, breathtaking. They even have sometimes like the parents are like, oh, we brought our kid, and like, oh, it was so like nice, you know, like, it changed my kid's life. I'm like, that changed your kid? There's no way in hell you brought some like 10-year-old kid. And they were like, wow, ma, this is amazing. No fucking way in hell. The lamest and it had nothing to do, I want to stress, nothing to do with like the Falun thing, the cult, nothing to do with that. It was just literally corny on its own and doesn't look anything like what they show on social media. So what I would say to you is, if you ever have $100 to burn one day and you want to laugh your ass off at something so terribly bad, definitely go see Shen Yun. Otherwise, don't go see Shen Yun because it's terrible. Don't go for like an amazing performance, but go if you want to laugh like you're trying to hold your laughter in church or something like that, because then that's worth it. And that's my Shen Yun review.